Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of worldish music, pairing Western sounds with non-Western sounds with the band No Te Va Gustar, which we've had on the channel before, and I've been really interested by them. I was private messaged by someone who provided a translation of the lyrics since they're in Spanish, which I'm grateful for. And a little bit of context says that the song is about the last military dictatorship in Uruguay that lasted from 73 to 85. Musically, it mixes rock, reggae, and light psychedelia with murga and candombe, two folk styles from Uruguay traditionally related with protest music and left-leaning artistic circles. So, let's dive into this. Let's see what No Te Va Gustar is bringing to the table today. Come on. Are you serious? Come on, Apple Music, just play the... It's going.
Si supieras lo que generas, ay, si supieras cuántas vidas quemas. Es que quiero creer que no sos consciente, porque nunca verías a un hijo morirse de un tiro en la frente.
Yeah. I really love the different placement of the voices just right off the bat, opening minute already.
¿Qué se siente al no sentir dolor y pensar que sos mi salvador? Es que quiero creer.
Definitely has a lot of laid back vibes up until this point. Let's see where it goes. Is that an electric guitar that does the quick panning idea?
Entre lágrimas y sangre por el suelo, esperando que algo caiga desde el cielo, indefenso, sin salida y sin consuelo.
The rhythmic idea and the bass just there.
Qué fácil es morir en una plaza.
Qué simple es disparar desde tu casa.
Bass guitar just killing it. Really present in the mix too.
Tirano, no hay espada en el mundo que sea capaz de cortarte las manos. Tirano, tirano, mil plegarias en vano no sirven para que te mueras temprano. Tirano, tirano, no hay espada en el mundo que sea capaz de cortarte las manos.
I'm really loving all the vocal layering.
Tirano, mil plegarias en vano no sirven para que te mueras temprano. Tirano, de rodillas ante mí no hay espada en el mundo que sea capaz de pegar y sangre por el suelo. Esperando una vida desde el cielo no sirve para
Yeah. Really like that rhythmic accent pattern on the bass. It's it's a lot of layering of sparse ideas. I'd almost say it's a layering of ornamental concepts. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, man, everything I hear from this group just makes me want to dig into them, and I know they're on my list. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. That is on me. I really need to bump them up because I've not heard anything from them that I haven't enjoyed. Um, let's get into this, right? It's we have a couple of different ideas here, but we continue to return to our A section, what we started the song on, what we stuck with for about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. We deviated from it for a little bit. We came back to it. We had our larger layered outro that took us out of the track as we removed instrumental layers and stuck with just the vocal ones. So I want to start with layering. It's a really important part of this track. And given that I love the layering in this, it really makes me want to dig into those two styles that this song utilizes. What is it, Murga and Candombe, and figure out where some of these compositional ideas stem from. Because like there's a little bit of reggae in here for sure. The rock you can feel at parts as well. I didn't really get the light psychedelia, but maybe that's just a matter of perspective. But Murga and Candombe I've never even heard of until today. I'm going to assume that they have rhythmic concepts to them, because we got a reggae beginning to this track. And that rhythmic pattern we started with was shifted out in favor of something that was utilized throughout the rest of the track, minus our outro. And I know a lot of Spanish culture tend to use rhythmic ideas and name them and utilize them by name, which is very cool. You know, we don't really have much of that in Western music, anything, classical, jazz. I mean, jazz. We have swung ideas, and there is samba styles in jazz that utilize specific rhythms, but we don't really name rhythmic ideas. And then you get to Spanish music, and there's all sorts of claves. And they all have their own rhythmic cadences to them. And I think that's a really interesting aspect that just isn't really present in Western music that I enjoy about it. And there is a couple of rhythmic ideas in here that I don't recognize, but are utilized constantly. It's not like a rock band who the drummer will change up the rhythmic pulse of a song from section to section. These ideas just stuck around no matter what was going on around them, no matter what layers were introduced, no matter what anybody else was doing rhythmically. The drum tended to emphasize these specific beats with non-accented hits against them in fashions that wasn't just constant quarter notes or constant eighth notes. And it creates really interesting grooves throughout the track, such as the one at the end there that I emphasized the bass kick was doing. You get an emphasis on the downbeat of 1, the ah of 1, and then 3. And the ah of 1 is the last quarter of the beat. So if we were to subdivide beats in half, we would tend to get 1 and 2 and 3 and. Those are going to be your eighth notes. We subdivide it into 4 beats, though. You're going to get your 16th notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. And so this comes in on the and, the very last quarter of the beat of 1. So we get 1, almost 2, and then 3. And so it takes something that is pretty much just 3/4 notes, but shifts the second one just a hair bit early, offsetting the symmetry of it. And it works so well in this. It creates such a strong sense of groove against the faster moving melodic stuff coming in on the vocals. I really love that. I wish I could remember what the one was during the first layered section. But yeah, like they set a rhythmic tone and they just stick with it. It reminds me a lot of that a lot of Spanish music tends to do this as well. And I'm curious if those are specific patterns that have names maybe or are associated with Murga or Candombe, because I don't recognize them, but they were very prominent. Now, outside of the rhythmic stuff, this is just a layering of ornamental ideas, like I stated. I think it's a bit condescending to call what's happening here ornamental ideas, but as far as the way that I've crafted the vocabulary on the channel, in a way that is explanatory, but sometimes a bit reductive in order for non-musical people to understand what's going on, I tend to use ornamental to describe smaller or shorter ideas, and that's a lot of what's going on here. Most of the instruments only play for 1 or 2 beats out of every bar or sometimes every phrase. That phrase can be 2 bars for some instruments, it can be 4 bars for some instruments. They only pop up once every 4 bars. And then they'll just play a couple of notes and then be done. For instance, that panning guitar sound, I think it was, in our opening section that started on the left, panned to the right, and then just quit out. Beat 2 of bar 1 of a 4-bar phrase. Silence for most of it. And then there's 2 beats of sound, and then it's done for like 10 more seconds. And so it's layering all of these ideas. There has to be 8, 9 instruments at times, and by the end of the track, I'm pretty sure we had 5 or 6 vocalists as well. So there's plenty of instrumentation to fill all this space, even if they're all playing sparsely. And I think that's something that I found really interesting about this, because, we've listened to slow burns, and this could be described as a slow burn. It does transform the foundation a couple of times throughout the track, but for the most part, it's about layering these smaller ideas until we find something very large and stacked. And by the end of it, we have a very stacked track. So it kind of is a slow burn, but a lot of the slow burns we listen to are about layering full phrases. You put your bass line, 4-bar idea. You put your guitar line, 4-bar idea. You put a violin, 4-bar idea. Drums, 4-bar idea. You put your vocals on top of that. And so everybody's playing by the end of it. And this is not that. For the most part, I would say most of the people playing instruments are counting for a majority of their time, counting rests, waiting to come in on their line, their little ornamental idea. And so the song ends up feeling very bouncy, very energetic, very playful, and very large. Not through a stacking, but through space. The instruments come in from all sorts of areas in the production, higher, lower, farther out, more within, centered, panned, and you'll hear a little idea here, then a little idea here, then a little idea here, then 2 in this direction, and it just feels like a very large production, despite there not being that many instruments, I don't think. And I just love this type of layering, because it allows the song to be busy without feeling full. And that is a really great thing. With a lot of slow burns, we tend to get a very busy song that ends up feeling very stacked and feels like it's pushing the boundaries of the sound sphere, especially when we look at more rock or metal tracks where they tend to have more of a compressed sound overall. This keeps the busyness but allows it to stay light. It isn't weighed down by a million parts going off at one time. It's bouncing around, allowing each instrument to have a little bit of space within all of it. It really isn't until the end, when we reach the vocal layering, that we begin to hear a lot of things going off simultaneously. And this was really fascinating because we had harmonized vocals off to the side, we had a center line, we had some dude off to the left that was harmonized with someone way off to the right. It was weird because it was like center left and hard right. They were panned together. Then we had this person that was center but real quiet and a bit lower into the mix, just vocalizing. And so we end up with two distinct harmonized lines, a third non harmonized line, and a fourth line that is just scatting. And it's a very fun section, and I absolutely loved that as busy as this section got, we eventually removed bits by bits until we came down to just the core vocal work. And I really got to appreciate what they were bringing to the table with that, and hearing each individual instrument, or each individual section of this layer without any of the additional instruments around it. It's like I got a pack of the stems and I got to mute all the instruments and really focus in on how they created this interesting vocal layering. Very cool stuff. The vibe here, I think, is interesting. Since this is a song about the last dictatorship in Uruguay, I figured it was going to be a bit more, I don't know, vigilant, maybe, or celebratory, depending on if this was against the last dictatorship or a celebration that they no longer have a dictator. But instead, it just kind of feels laid back and chill, very much in that reggae realm. And I'm curious what the lyrics are going to be because I definitely could see this laid back kind of feel for that topic, but it was just not the one I was expecting. And it ends up allowing the song to feel very casual, which, when we include all of the ornamental ideas and eventually the vocal layering at the end, it kind of feels like a very well organized pickup band where you just kind of, there's instruments laying around, there's microphones around, you just kind of join in with what you want. And if you just got like ba da ba and you just want to sit there for a little bit, and you just kind of sit there and wait, like that's what it feels like. It's just a very casual, lighthearted track, which, as I stated, is just not where I thought we were going given the topic of the lyrics. But I really appreciate it. Even in the more denser, heavily layered sections, it never really loses that lightheartedness, which again I attribute to the lack of density in our stacking. The layers come from a variety of off-centered concepts rather than everything playing at once. Man, there was something I wanted to say about the bass, but I don't remember what it was. The bass was just killer though. Like, I love the tone, I love the ideas, I love the moving lines, and as well as just kind of sitting there with the drums and laying down this rhythm. And honestly, I feel like I've talked a lot about the bass this week, but we've had some really good bass lines, and specifically, I think bass tones this week that just keeps me coming back to them. I'm gonna have some lyrics here. We're gonna wrap this up. I'm getting better at this concept of purposefully juxtaposing your lyrical themes and musical ones. But it still feels a bit odd to me. And I gotta investigate this further and figure out why I find it to be an oddity. and try to address that and change my perspective on things. So the song is very lighthearted, it's bouncy, it's light on its feet, and it's very chill and laid back. The lyrics though, are what I was expecting. There is vigilance in here. There is anger in here. It says, if only you knew what you create, if only you knew how many lives you burn. I want to believe that you're not aware because you'd never seen a son die from a shot in the forehead. Like, it's very blunt about this dictator's detachment from reality. Or possibly not a detachment from reality, but finding a type of sadistic joy in the pain that they bring. Our narrator doesn't know which to go on, doesn't really know this dictator personally enough to figure out whether they believe what they say or if they're just completely unaware of the world around them. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. The bridge leads into a couple of stanzas talking about the hopelessness of living in this dictatorship. Says we're waiting for something to fall from the sky with tears and blood on the ground. We're helpless with no way out and no solace. How easy it is to die in a square, how simple it is to be shot in the comfort of your house. And we move from this hopelessness to anger. The chorus says, Tyrant, there is no sword in the world that is able to cut off your hands, and 1,000 prayers in vain won't make you die sooner. The next section takes these two, the helplessness of the bridge and the anger of the chorus, and plays both at the same time with other vocalizations going on. This was the heavily layered vocal section there at the end. And I really like this concept, because I feel like aside from running, seeking asylum in another country, you don't really have much to do. You can hold on to this anger, and you probably will hold on to this anger, but helplessness is it. There's no way to change it. And so bringing the two together, I think, exemplifies the life that most people lived while in this, under this government. The constant division of hating where you're at but not being able to do anything about it. I'm trying to pair this with the music and see if I can find another layer to this, possibly the mundanity of life. How these feelings have just become day-to-day emotions, almost have become background noise. The anger and the sorrow and the hopelessness and the despair are that's just how we live now. And so the mundanity, the laid backness of the music represents that. I don't know if that's necessarily what they were going for, or if it's just, another way of the concept of dancing away the pain. Creating music that's a bit brighter and pairing it with lyrics that are a bit darker in order to find a way to deal with these emotions in a more positive manner. I don't know. But I love the way these guys craft lyrics. I love their music. I need to listen to more of them. Those are my thoughts on No Te Va Gustar's Tirano featuring Ruben Rada. I didn't mention that last time. I'm curious what they did, if they were a vocal or if they played an instrument. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comment section. Give me your perspectives, opinions, any additional information. Just drop all that down there. Above the comments in the description box is a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to the Discord server, ways to support the channel, links to my music, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. We have 2 more videos today, as usual on a Friday, a special selection and a creator request. Be sure to check into those. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have a Pride reaction in the morning, and then we'll have the album review at night, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.